I think we could be on the verge of an enormous melt up towards the upside. There's so many things that are pointing me towards that right now when everyone else is looking into the doom and gloom of the SEC, and I'm going to talk about exactly why that is in this video. If you look into this diagram right now, you'll see that we are potentially on the verge of a massive break towards the upside. I'm also going to talk about what Raoul Pal, the banking and crypto expert, has to say on how global macroeconomics is going to create the future of this next crypto pump. As well as that, if you have the patience to stick around for the next 7 or 8 minutes, I'm going to give you a massive, incredible treat as well. So hit the like button, let's dive into it, shall we? Well guys, first of all, let's just start here. COVID crash 2020. That was the bottom of the bear market before, $3,800, I believe, roughly for the Bitcoin price. It then broke towards the upside, retested this previous shoulder, head, shoulder pattern. Then it boomed towards the upside. We had our bull market. Now what we can see, it says COVID crash, what they mean is FTX crash, okay? FTX crash. We then see it rally towards the upside for this start of this year. We're now retesting. For the last 10 weeks, we've been printing red candles towards the downside. We're now bouncing. In my opinion, we're about to have a break. And why does this happen? Well, guys, let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, we know recently we've been creeping towards the downside because of all this drama with the SEC. But let's look at what Binance's CZ has to say about this. Look on the bright side, scrutiny provides a validation. Was just reading the court's transcript. And this is what the court judge has to say. There's no evidence, absolutely no evidence or dissipation of assets whatsoever. This is basically saying that there's no evidence to support any case that Binance is doing what FTX was doing before. This is extremely important. It's showing that a lot of this FUD stuff that's being created is just a narrative. It doesn't mean anything until anything is proven guilty or not guilty. This could just be something that's been put into action to hold the markets down. I have become incredibly cynical over the years after living in China during COVID and seeing all the kind of FUD that was spread not only in China about the West, but in the West about China. I do believe that narratives are used across the news to give the population something to channel them into making a certain decision. I do believe that all of this SEC stuff right now is pushing crypto investors to an area of fear and of panic, when actually, if we can look beyond that, something far bigger is happening. Now, I watched a really extremely interesting video from Raoul Pal talking about what has been going on and what really drives the crypto bull markets. Now, unlike popular opinion, he doesn't believe it's to do with the halving cycle, but in fact something else that runs over a period of time around 4 to 5 years as well, and that is the global liquidity cycle. So Raoul Pal believes that there is an inextricable link between technology and crypto and how these markets move over a few years. And they move because of something called the global liquidity cycle. He also believes that because of this global liquidity cycle and the way that markets operate, and this is coming from a 15-year study which he is just about to finalize, he basically believes that the markets factor in the price about 6 months early. So he is believing that the conditions that are happening in the market are actually a version of what is happening 6 months before. And if we think back 6 months, you would say that we are probably at the bottom of the market cycle then, when really that's actually starting to look like we should be moving out of an area right now. So 6 months ago when we had the lows of the FTX crash, actually that was probably to do with the conditions of the market right now. So all those people who are telling you that the conditions of the market are not right for a surge towards the upside, they're probably right, but that would be fine if the markets were linking up, but they're actually 6 months early. Now, to simplify this, because it is very technical and it did take me a few times of watching it to understand and be able to bring you a bit more of a simplified version of this. Imagine the economy like a massive pool of money. When the government has to pay off its debt, it takes money out of this pool. And this meant that when interest payments from governments increased, it also meant that asset prices started to increase as well. Now, there's a big link he noticed between the bank balance sheets. After digging a bit deeper, he then noticed that bank balance sheets were inextricably linked with asset prices. And by understanding the bank balance sheets, of which we have access to, he can then start to identify the future prices of different assets. This has allowed him to predict the prices of things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, the Nasdaq, and has run many test models on this over the last few years, and it looks inextricably linked. This means that he's able to then predict what is likely to happen in the next coming years. And I bet you can guess what that would be. So effectively now, interest rates are really, really high. What is basically happening while interest rates are high is that all of the companies who are now borrowing money are now paying extremely high interest rates. So if they're paying very high interest rates, where does that interest go? It goes back into the banks. The banks, therefore, end up having lots of money. For example, if I was to lend you, let's say, $100. Previously, if the interest rates were at 1%, it meant that you had to pay me back $1 per year. Now they're at, let's say, 5%. It means that you're now paying me $5 per year. But we're not talking about $100. We're talking about trillions of dollars of debt at 5% interest. This means that banks have now been cashing in and have an enormous amount of cash. Surplus in cash then means that they have enormous amounts of surplus in cash to invest into projects that are going to see likely growth, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and tech, because these tend to be riskier assets that tend to decline when markets are struggling. So to put it simply, the people who invest and drive the markets forward now have more money because of interest rate hikes. And this is all to do with a global liquidity cycle that is extremely complex, and this is my takeaway from it. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I am wrong about it, guys, leave a link down below, but this is what I understand to be the case. And we are going to start to see a time from quantitative tightening, which has caused everyone a bit of pain, and now into a quantitative easing cycle. And this is when we can really capitalize going forward. So what does that mean for us? Well, let's dive into the charts and take a look. Well, in the short term, guys, this is all starting to come together at an amazing period of time. Now, what I want to bring you back to is what we talked about earlier on that Bitcoin chart, and understand why right now is such a key time for us. Now, remember, this here indicates where we bounced on the head and shoulders pattern, or inverse head and shoulders pattern, where we come back down and we bounce in that area. And then from there, look, this is what basically happens. We had a bit of sideways consolidation and a bounce. Now we have had a little bit of sideways here. Whether we have continued sideways, that is yet to be understood, but I do think we're running out of time. And here's why I think we're running out of time. These patterns are very, very key for us. Now this is our inverse head and shoulders, which I talked about the other day. We got a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder here. And then we go into this pattern here, very interesting, rising broadening wedge. But within this is back on the 15th of April, we topped out at around 30K, 31K. We've then been in this very bullish descending wedge, which is now starting to play out again. Now this is the point at which it retests the head and shoulders pattern, and you can see exactly what happened to that. Over the last 4 days, over the weekend, we've seen a big push where Bitcoin has bounced from this low here around 6%. And you're like, that's not a big push. Guys, in this area of the market, when Bitcoin's doing that, it does tend to be a fairly big push. And you're like, well, why is this so significant for the other cryptos? Well, Hbar did a bounce as well, and Hbar bounced around 8%. Solana from this low here bounced around 21%. XLM from this low bounced around 5.6%. So it's obvious, when Bitcoin's going up, so will everything else in theory. And I do think that Bitcoin is due to have this break up here, which will be something like 22%. Now, whether that happens in the immediate short term, we've literally got till the 4th of July for this to happen, okay? 4th of July, Bitcoin is going to come into contact with either the top of this and this wedge here. Now we can see that we basically hit the apex of this falling wedge here and this rising wedge here, and that caused an explosion in the price. Now, unless Bitcoin breaks out before that, I do actually think we're more likely to see something like this occur, which would mean somewhere in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be bouncing pretty hard. And if Bitcoin goes up, let's say 20%, 22%, then you're going to see Hbars, Solanas, XLMs also booming with it. But as I promised to you, we don't just get excited about 20%, 22%. Now, in my Inner Circle Discord, guys, which is linked down below in the description, 5-day free trial, $9.99 per month. I have been getting so many people asking me for daily trading signals. So I've decided from today that there will be one daily trading signal that we're going to share in there. And this is the trade here that we took, IXS. This I'm going to provide every single day. All of these coins can be found on KuCoin. And if you come across to the Inner Circle, I'll also give you a KuCoin link where you'll get a discount as well as a massive bonus as well. And this is currently where IXS is since we got that signal. You can see that the IXS price is currently up 32%. Now, not every trade will work quite as well as this one, But if you want to be trading small cap altcoins right now and getting one every single day, then go through the link down below in the description. For just $9.99 per month, you can get into the inner circle, get hold of these trades. But not just this, guys. You'll be able to access the chat with experienced traders. You'll get daily analysis, daily news, and so much more that no one else is going to give you for that kind of value. So make sure you hit that link down below in the description. Get across to the inner circle Discord. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video today. Do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, you want to learn more about crypto and what's happening right now, then subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.